We want to help Finnish companies to utilize individuals and to build these disruptive business models are, for example, utilized by Uber and Airbnb, models that have enabled those companies to grow from zero, and the most valuable companies and biggest growing companies and biggest companies in their respective kind of game. So, and we think that the game changer has been this part here, that they are actually kind of building their business models in a way that they can leverage the kind of creative potential and actually the kind of overall power of individuals. Obviously, there are problems and challenges when you want to leverage individuals. It's such a heterogeneous group, and you have to do pre-screening, you have to build trust, and if every company, and you have to have some sort of automatized system that manages perhaps even millions of connections.
Right,
you cannot do it manually.
You can't hire a person for every new
Exactly. Otherwise, you will lose the benefits. But due to the kind of fast development of the modern ICT technology, we have recently been seeing solutions that are able to do exactly that.
Exactly. One of the distinctions between Facebook and Friendster and MySpace was that Friendster and MySpace had individual human moderators, and there was a number, I forget what it was, but roughly every 1,000 new members on the network, they had to hire a new moderator, and this just doesn't scale.
Yeah, and many companies would like to operate like this, and this is actually an empirical kind of finding that we have had during our research. We have interviewed lots of companies from different fields, and they say that yes, we would like to, especially designers. Most recently I went to Paris Fashion Week. I interviewed with top designers in the world, and many of which said that yes, we would like to harness the creative potential of the individuals, but we don't have any means to do so.
Does it mean that social manufacturing platform in fact is a platform of platforms, and we will have here multiple different platforms available for servicing different competence areas. Here we have the companies that need the individual's power to bring new ideas into the system through the platform. There is another additional value in the platform, is that these platforms are interconnected and they are collecting data about the individuals. And the data that is collected, let's say by Uber platform, can be utilized also on Airbnb platform to create more value. So it's not only the technical platform that we are offering, but it is also a lot of information, data that is available.
And I would say even it's sense making of that data in terms of identifying opportunity. One of the crucial distinctions that you're making is this is a business network. It's not a social network like Facebook, and it's not even a social network like LinkedIn, where we make essentially a static oil painting of our business relationships, but no actual business is happening there. It's a dynamic platform to enable value creation relationships between individuals and between the organizations and entities that they are part of or representing or serving in some way. This is part of the dynamic in dynamic value networks that we talk about. Is it's moving from a captive relationship to multiple relationships, which creates more nodes, more edges. You're exploring the possibility space with more branches, basically.
We have already tradition of making something in IT sector that is global. We have Linux, we have MySQL, we have many other a little bit less famous products. We can do it, and Finland is very trusted for this type of platforms.
And so I think Finland has the admirable quality of A, being neutral, and B, being so small that nobody views it as a threat. And I think this can be turned into a strategic advantage that neither of the other superpowers could capture.
Yeah. But we also have the scalability, capability to scale up systems, modern cloud-based systems like the games. Yeah. We have Supercell, Rovio, which have hundreds of millions of users, and they are showing how this technology is available in Finland.
Well, one is that we have an excellent educational system, and in very few countries we educate all of the age group with such fine education to such high levels as in Finland.
We have strong ties to the top universities, and so we are able to build a similar market entry strategy as what used by Facebook, for example, that we kind of enter the market through the most legitimate universities in the world one by one. We are going to start from China, from the most respected university, Tsinghua University, located in Beijing, and we are going to build first the critical mass within that university, collecting individual contributors and companies around that university from that kind of close proximity to form a kind of a mini ecosystem, if you will, like a self-sustaining system in itself. Similarly to what Facebook did at Harvard, for example, with their social network. After China, we are then coming to Europe to build even greater network, replicating effectively the same process that we do at Tsinghua. And then later on, through Stanford, we gain excellent access to Silicon Valley. We will approach individuals, companies, saying that we are working on this platform at Stanford. Would you like to be a part? I'm pretty sure that everyone will say yes. That would kind of be a critical mass on a global level, so that the system would be kind of self-sustaining and attractive for all participants around the world.
So we have Asia through China, we have Europe, we will have the US, East Coast, West Coast, and I'd just like to mention that we already have about 3,000 Chinese designers in our network through this Sino-Finnish 100 Challenge project, who contributed more than 600 great ideas for an idea competition.
We are hoping by the end of next year to have at least 1,000 individual contributors with their own competencies, forming altogether at least 20 distinct competence communities that could then be served through the social manufacturing platform to companies. And we would have at least 50 companies utilizing the platform and the individuals behind the platform. And that in itself would already be enough for it to be attractive for kind of to be opened up for global participants, both in terms of individuals and companies. And also we are going to, throughout this process, we will start with proof of concept at Tsinghua, then we will work on prototype, then we will work on minimum viable product, then towards the end of next year we will work on release candidate. And after having completed each of these, we will have discussions with investors, so that we are kind of guided also not only by the market but also by investors.
Well, this is a new, very novel approach, and I think it would be useful for people who are introduced to this to really go into depth how this is different from the existing open innovation and crowdsourcing approaches. What makes this unique? No.
I think one of the things you can compare it, I think maybe first of all with LinkedIn, and for me LinkedIn was a social network for business, and that part is the same as what we want to do here, but I view it like an oil painting. It was a sort of a static map of people's professional relationships. It didn't capture ongoing relationships. It didn't capture how much economic activity was moving across those relationships. And it was aimed primarily at recruiters. And so the services that I would have paid LinkedIn for, they never did, you know. I want a service that can discover new value potential in my network and direct me to that new value potential. So I essentially want a GPS for value creation space, for commercial space, that can direct me, go on this edge, there's a relationship here that is mutually beneficial, don't go on that edge, that one just goes off a cliff somewhere, you know. And if that GPS sort of steers me through value creation space in that way, and also is steering everybody else in the network that way, it's better for all of us. That's,
So it's the future linked out.
yes,
Yeah, I like the dynamic approach here.
Exactly.
But it is usually at the initial stage what we are now in, it's very static, not moving, and this
Exactly.
now adds the dynamic part.
the LinkedIn was kind of a map of the roads. What we care about is the traffic. You know, how many trucks are actually carrying cargo on these roads, and how many are going in both directions, and where's the value being created? Which the roads are a proxy for where the value could be created, but they're not telling us anything about where the value is created.
So the social manufacturing platform can be integrated also to
Right.
Uber, to Airbnb,
Right.
whichever system has an open access.
Right. To me, when we talk about social manufacturing and dynamic value networks and the overlap between them here, because they're not quite the same thing, and what we're all interested in is how they relate to each other.
Mhm.
It's that space between Uber and some other service, or between Airbnb and the
Mhm.
local tour guide.
Mm.
You know, it's that partnership there that's where we see something dynamic emerge that wasn't just on the Airbnb platform, wasn't
Yes.
just in the tour guide platform. It's
Yeah.
this new thing that happens between them.
So effectively, it could even be the platform of the platforms,
Yeah.
bridging the gaps between individual platforms.
I think that's what we're aspiring to as a meta platform, because we want to see the trade data.
Mhm.
We want to see where is the value being created, and then what are the sequences of engagement episodes between these people that lead to these positive value outcomes versus the sequences that lead to losses, and how do we begin to distinguish them? That's where I get super excited about new understanding of the actual value creation process. Okay, now I'm starving.
Good, very good, Mark. Great.